Good morning, all my gardeners and preppers. Happy Labor Day weekend. Wanted to take a quick minute this morning when I'm trying to think of all these videos to do and show you maybe a different way that you can fertilize your plants, especially if you grow in large containers like I do. Something that I'm finding out is uncommon, especially when I'm talking to my friends out there, is using hydroponic nutrients when you're growing in soil. I really like it. I've done it. This is my second year doing it. It works extremely well. It's actually very cost effective because you use a very small amount when you're putting it into the water that you're feeding your soil with. I use very large containers, 15, 20 gallons. I guess 10 gallons too. I'm not going to spend too much time on the mixture. There's plenty. Look on Amazon. You can pick up a box this way that has all three. I use general hydroponics. If you do a bunch of research, you really don't find anything bad about general hydroponics. It's my first year using general hydroponics, but the results have been phenomenal so far. So today, I'm going to show you how I do it, take you over to one of the containers, and just kind of give you an overall view of what I do here in my garden, maybe give you a different option of what to do in your garden. Okay, I've already added a little bit of water to this bucket. This is a 2-gallon bucket. When I do this, I'm starting with all my 15-gallon barrel containers. I'll typically put about half, so about a gallon per pepper plant in. I start by putting a quarter to a third of water in the bucket. And then I start with your macro, the Flora macro. Now we are it's Labor Day weekend. So we are on the latter side of summer. So my mixture leans a little heavier toward the flower side, actually quite a bit heavier than the flower side, than what it does early season. Now there's plenty of things out there on the internet, plenty of different recipes that you can use when you're doing this. So today we're only going to go with the macro and the flower, but normally I'll start off the season like 1 tablespoon, half a tablespoon, or 1 tablespoon, kind of an even mixture. This is after the seedling stage. I don't feed till quite a ways into their growth. So like I said, about quarter to a third of water. I'm going to add my macro. Then I'm going to take the hose. That way it mixes in really well. Now, I'm not an expert on hydroponics. A lot of you out there probably know more about it than I do. This is my first year heavy into hydroponics, actual hydroponics that I'm doing in the greenhouse. But like I said, my second year actually doing hydroponics in the water that I'm feeding my soil with. All right, I stirred with the measuring spoon here just to kind of rinse it of anything that's on there. And then I'll just top off the bucket. That way it's stirred in really good. Now, this time of season, I'm only doing this every other weekend, every third weekend. I kind of watch them and just play it by eye. Now I do use, let me show you, on the opposite weekend, I use Real Growers Recharge. This stuff, it's my first year using it. Honestly, there's no scientific way to say if it's doing really well or not, but I can tell you my plants are extremely healthy this year. And of some of them that I've had to do some movement on, the roots, especially when I went from the 3/4 gallon pots to their permanent home, the roots were really fat, really white, had a lot of hairs on them. So if this is the reason, I'm really impressed. I'll let you know more. I'm going to keep using it But basically it's a compost tea in the dried form, and you only put a couple tablespoons in when you're doing a gallon or two of water. Actually, it says on the back here, half a teaspoon per gallon every 7 to 10 days. So these bags last you a long time. And then of course, if you need to get a little bit of a calcium boost, I'll drop in a teaspoon or to a tablespoon of calcium. But your general hydroponics has calcium in it, and this year I haven't seen any signs of a calcium deficiency or even a problem uptaking the calcium. Okay, we're all mixed in the bucket. Take you over to one of the plants here, and we'll just kind of show you how the plant's looking this year. But they're going crazy, and I'm amazed at how many peppers I'm getting off of them doing it this way. I've heard people call it synganics, synthetic organics, that kind of thing. I don't know what to call it. All I know is so far it's working. I guess I should have put in there my normal disclaimer. I honestly don't know if it matters or not. Don't even really care. I'm not paid to do this. Look at my subscriber count. Got 28 subscribers. I'm way too little to be paid to do this. I just really like the product, and I want to show you what I do to try to help you get bigger and better. So general hydroponics is very, very, very cheap, I think anyway. And with the very small amount that you actually use, one of those will last most people all season. Pretty simple process. I don't overthink it. It's not scientific. About half the bucket, pour it in there. That's usually enough to let it seep all the way to the bottom of these 15-gallon barrels. You'll see it coming out the bottom. And then I usually withhold my normal watering that I would do this evening, just to let them soak everything up that's in there. Over here next to it, I'll just pour the rest. So one bucket gives me 2 of my barrels. It takes me a little while because I think I've got 25 or 30 barrels out here. But the plants actually love it. And if you look in there, you can see the growth. This plant's crazy. So it's supposed to be Starscream. I've got these cool purple peppers with an actual long tail, so I'm a little bit afraid of them. But then I've also got these growing on the same plant. And then look, right next to each other, I've got both. So I don't know what it is, but it ought to be interesting to find out. Okay, not a super long video. I've just had people, especially my friends, I've had ask me, what's the best way to fertilize? How do I feed? I do feed pretty heavily because I want a big harvest. And when they are in, like mine, 10 or 15 gallon barrels, once they get large, they tend to eat up those nutrients pretty quick. So especially toward the end of the year, it's every other weekend that I'm doing this. And then on the off weekend, I'm putting the recharge in the soil and adding a little bit of calcium. Just my way of doing it. And hopefully this helps somebody out. And always remember, you don't have to be a prepper to be prepared. I'm Steve. This is the Chili Prepper channel. We'll see you tomorrow.